Hello guys, how are you? Back with you. My name is Riaz, as you know, and now in this week we should cover all the syllabus, okay? From separation of powers till the union territories and special areas. We need to cover all this act, and we don't have time today. It's already Thursday. We only have Friday. Okay, tomorrow we will cover this. Today we are going to cover special powers, comparison system of the governance. These two we are going to cover. Okay, comparison system of the governance first line. And tomorrow hopefully we will cover executive and state executive. Day after tomorrow we will cover Saturday union legislature and state legislature and local body governments. This is very important topic. So Sunday we will cover all this up. So in this week we are going to cover like this. Okay. So before going to start the lecture, as usual, let me tell you a few words which I hope might inspire you. So, we will be facing many persons in the life. Some persons will give you happiness, some persons will give you sadness. In overall, the persons which they give is just the lessons, okay? If you want, you can forget the persons, but just don't forget the lessons. Observe carefully, there is a lesson in everything. Every tiny bit of the action which the other persons do, or every tiny bit of the action that which natures do, there is a lesson hidden in it. Just observe it, learn from it, okay? And just don't forget the lesson. Okay, without any delay, without any wastage, let's begin. See, separation of powers. This concept of separation of powers was first written by Montesquieu, okay? His name is Montesquieu in his book Spirit of Laws. In this book, he said that legislative, executive, and judiciary must be separate. So why it is separate? See, imagine a school student, okay? Now, if the school student is given a chance to prepare his own question paper, to write the answers, and then to correct his own paper, then he'll get 100 out of 100 marks, right? So this is not in the same way. This legislation, executive and judiciary, if it is concentrated in the single authority, like majoritarian authority or monarchical system like that, then it will be chaos and it will not be democratic. See, separation of powers is not federal feature. Division of powers, clear-cut division of the powers is a federal feature, okay, of the parliamentary system. Fine. Things about, I was telling that the functions of legislature, executive, and judiciary must be separate. Legislature is law-making body and it should make laws, and executive, it is law implementing body and it should implement laws, and judiciary is the one which sees that the executive and legislature are not, which just keeps a check on them, okay? They are not violating the law, something like that. So separation of powers was given by Montesquieu in his book Spirit of Laws. Okay. Now in Indian context, who is legislature? Our parliament. Who is executive? Cabinet. And who is judiciary? We have integrated judiciary. It is Supreme Court, under that High Courts, under that district courts and subordinate courts. Okay. So in this way, our Indian constitution separates the power, and all the three bodies are independent. Okay. So legislature and executive and judiciary all are independent. So unlike American constitution, there is a strict separation of powers. Indian judiciary depends on the system of checks and balances. Okay. So let me tell you, in USA, Congress is the legislature and president is the executive. Legislature, executive, and courts as usual are judiciary. Okay. So this is the way in which USA constitution follows strict separation of the power and nothing is dependent on other things. Okay. And what else? Checks and balances, right? India, I have told you, right? There is no strict separation of powers in case of India. In Indian constitution works on the process of checks and balances. Okay, how it checks and balances, like Article 50 itself. Okay, this is how it is separation of powers. Okay, and here we will discuss how checks and balances are working here. Article 50 says that executive must be separated from the judiciary. Article 50 itself is the part 4 of the constitution, and it is a DPSP. It says that in implementing the laws, the executive must be separated from the judiciary. Okay, Article 121 and 211 says that uh, judici- judiciary is not responsible for legislative for its action. I mean, judiciary must not interfere in the proceedings of the legislature. And Article 122 and Article 212 says that uh, legislature should not intertwine with the rules of the courts. Okay, so this makes sure that it is independent. Okay, fine. This is about checks and balances. How different organs like legislature, executive, and judiciary checks the powers on different organs on themselves itself. It is like self-policing effect. Okay, see if judiciary, how it checks on legislative and executive. On legislative, judiciary checks with the help of amendability. Okay, there is a concept called amendment of the constitution. Article 368 we have discussed in the previous lecture, right? So here in Keshwanand Bharati case of 1973, something called basic structure emerged. Okay, basic structure, without alternating the basic structure, the legislature could enact any laws. This is what our judiciary said. And on executive, how it checks, it checks with the help of judicial review. Any act done by executive is constitutional, is good or not, it is checked by judiciary. So it limits the power of legislative executive, right? So now how legislature check on executive? So it can pass no confidence motion, then whole executive one, and the legislature will be dissolved and new election should be conducted. In this way, it has the power to pass the no confidence motion in legislature. Legislature in the sense Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, anything. And how on judiciary, removal of Supreme Court judges. If you want to remove a judge of Supreme Court or High Court, then there should be a special majority which needs to be passed in legislature, in parliament, anything. Okay. In this way, legislature checks on judiciary also. Executive, how it checks on judiciary and legislature. In executive, see, executive consists of the president, prime minister, and cabinet of ministers. Okay, or council of ministers. This consists of executive, which executes the laws framed by our legislature. Okay, the prime minister appoints the judges. Okay, so it is in the hands of executive. The appointment of highest office of the courts is in the hands of president, right? So in this way, executive checks on judiciary. In how it checks on legislature, see, there are many things followed by parliament. Like there should be proper way in which the parliament should function. There should not be any breach of or violation of activities. How the members of the parliament should behave. All these rules are framed by our executive, which keeps a check on the legislature. In this way, one thing keeps the checks on others. Okay, so in this way, the power is self-policed. Okay, so one thing checks the other. In this way, nothing could be superior, and the power does not concentrate on one particular thing. So this is all about the separation of powers. Remember these articles, Article 50, Article 211. This you should mention your answer. Okay, and there are many articles also. Article 361, I guess. Just check it out. 361 or something, that president is not responsible for his acts to the court. Okay, so this also independence of judiciary. Okay? Independence of executive. So president is executive, no? So president is not responsible for his acts in any court. Okay, that's why it is 361 or 365. Just check this article. Okay, 365 something. Check and comment in comment box. Okay, this is all about the separation of powers. Okay, now we will go to the comparison of our Indian constitution with other constitutions. Excuse me. So, comparison and system of governance with that of Britain constitution, USA constitution, how the French constitution emerged, how the Germany constitution, how the Switzerland, Canada, Australia, China. This is the part of the syllabus of men's GS2. Okay, so India and USA, the constitution is supreme. See, in USA it is very much rigid constitution, okay. In India, it is blend of rigidity and flexibility. Some provisions are there in the Indian Constitution which can be amended with the help of simple amendment, simple majority, and some amendments require huge majority, special majority, kind of two-third majority. Like impeachment of president requires special majority. I have discussed all this in types of majority. Okay, remember, no confidence motion requires simple majority. And the things which can be amended with the help of simple majority is the alteration of boundaries of the state or names of the state. With the help of simple majority only we can amend. So that's why Indian Constitution is a blend of rigidity and flexibility. But this is not the case in US Constitution. In US Constitution there is a strict separation of powers. Okay, see, in Britain it is parliamentary system of supremacy. In Britain our parliament is supreme. Britain's parliament is supreme, and the constitution is not supreme. Here in India or USA, whatever the constitution tells, it goes on. Like Indian constitution is supreme, and US's constitution is supreme. But in the case of Britain, it is strictly parliamentary system. Parliamentary system in the sense there will be two houses in the parliament. Okay, like the upper house and lower house. Upper house is Rajya Sabha and lower is house in our case is Lok Sabha. Their House of Lords and House of Commons. House of Lords is upper house, I guess, and House of Commons is lower house, or opposite. House of Lords is lower house. Okay, so they will follow the system of judicial review. And Dicey, this fellow proposed this rule of law. There are three rule of the rule of law. Okay, Article 20, I guess. There is a rule of law. Okay, first thing says that everyone are equal before law. Rich or poor, or three laws are there. They just refer to it. Okay, I'm not able to recall at this particular moment because all this I have studied yesterday. This thing I have written yesterday, and today I'm before you to start the lecture. And this should not be the case. Whenever I read it, I should explain it, or this happens. Like I may forget. Okay. So executive is the crown there. So crown is hereditary in India. The crown is the president. It is elected head. Okay, here crown is hereditary. Hereditary in the sense it enjoys absolute power. Okay, crown in the sense it is the institution. Okay, king or queen, or India we have president. Article 361. Okay, so this I have told you, right? 361 only. Article 361. President is not answerable to any court for his acts. Okay, so Article 361. We have India. In India we have president. Okay, there it is king, and king is superior. Why it is king is better idea? Because see, the executive is appointed by here it is hereditary. Okay, he is not answerable to anyone, and he enjoys his own freedom. In case of India, the president is indirectly or directly, the voting happens indirectly only, but whatever the election, whatever the party gets majority, whatever that particular party which gets majority suggests the president, then that particular guy who becomes the president is from that particular party only, right? So he has to listen. There is article 75 which says that president should act and aid and act in with the advice of the Council of Ministers. Okay, so without the advice of the Council of Ministers, so he is not independent. His powers are only nominal. Here in the case of what we call Britain, his powers are supreme. Okay, he have supreme powers. King in the constitution itself, they mentioned that king can do no wrong. Article 61 we call impeachment, right? Here no Article 61. In the case of violation of constitution, we have the impeachment of the president. Okay, so here king can do no wrong. Whatever king does, it is right. Okay, collective responsibility. So collective responsibility to cabinet. We took the collective responsibility of the what we call cabinet to the legislature from the Britain constitution itself. So there are few things which Britain. So we have NJC 99th Constitutional Amendment. Okay, so this was declared null and void by the Supreme Court. But in case of the appointment of judges, there is a commission in case of Britain which is still working, and it appoints the judiciary. Okay, so for comparison we need to know this. As always, I refer to this book. Okay. So distinction between Indian and British models. Okay, India has a republican system, in the sense India's president is elected in place of Britain's monarchical system. So Britain's is monarchical system. In other words, the head of the state in India is elected, while the head of the state in the Britain enjoys hereditary position. The Britain system is based on the doctrine of sovereignty of the parliament. So in Britain, parliament is supreme, and India enjoys the limited and restricted powers due to written constitution. So here there is no written constitution. Okay, India has written constitution. Written constitution is the basic feature of the parliamentary form of the government. Okay. Written constitution, parliamentary system, it is not there. Let me check it. So the written constitution is the feature of federal system of the government. Federal in the sense the powers are divided between center and the state. Okay, this is called a federal system. Parliamentary system in the sense in the parliament only Lok Sabha, lower house and upper house are divided. Okay. So I was studying the distinction between Indian and so in Britain the Prime Minister should be a member of lower house. Okay, in Britain, whatever the lower house is there, House of Commons is called lower house, House of Lords is called upper house. Okay, House of Commons, the Prime Minister should be the lower member of the lower house, but in case of India, the Prime Minister can be from lower house or upper house also. Usually, the members of the parliament alone are appointed as ministers in Britain. In India, a person who is not a member of the parliament can also be appointed as a minister. But yeah, this from 6 months you need to be appointed. You need to have any seat in Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. For 6 months, you can be appointed as Prime Minister without any seat in Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha. Okay, Britain has a system of legal responsibility of the ministers, while India has no such systems. Okay, unlike Britain, the ministers in India are not required to countersign the official acts of the. See, I'm telling you, these are the features of parliamentary form of the government: nominal and real executives, majority party rule, collective responsibility, political homogeneity, double membership. Double membership in the sense ministers are the members of both the legislatures and the executive. The ministers should be, see, minister is actually representative of legislature, and he is also a minister. Okay, he can become the minister without the being the member of legislature, but within 6 months he has to get any seat in the legislature in case of India. Okay, leaders of the prime minister, leadership of the prime minister, dissolution of the lower house is secrecy. Dissolution of the lower house, in the lower house of the parliament can be dissolved by the president on recommendations of the prime minister. In case, in other words, the prime minister can advise. These are all the features of parliamentary form of the government. And don't get confused. Federal system, it is dual polity. Okay, the constitution, dual polity constitution of union and the state and center. Dual polity is the feature of federal system. You dual polity in the sense center and state, two different governments are there. Written constitution, division of powers. See, separation of powers is not the thing. Division of powers is the federal feature. Okay. Supremacy of the constitution, rigid constitution. So the constitution amendment requires special procedure. This is the feature of this federal constitution. Okay, independent judiciary, bicameralism. So what are the features of unitary system? Strong center. Center is very strong. States not indestructible. Unlike the states in India have no right to single constitution. Flexibility of the constitution. It can be easy to amend. Integrated judiciary all India services. And appointment of governors, integrated election machinery. These are all the features of federal form of the government. Okay? So I was discussing about the Britain constitution. I have told you the difference. Let's go to US's constitution. You know how the president in the US is elected? There will be electors, okay, different electors which will be elected by people, and for every state according to the number of seats in the central legislature, the proportion, in that proportion, the number of electors will be elected by the people who actually elect the president. If you want to become the president of USA, then you need to get half of the majority of the electors. Okay, if some 500 electors are there, then you need to get 251 votes from the electors in order to win. So in this way, US's president is elected. Okay, so US's president is first written constitution. It was in 1765, I guess, which USA got freedom, and it was first written constitution, and it is redeemed from 1765 till now. Only 27 times the amendment happened because of the high rigidity of the constitution, and rigidity is the feature of federal or parliamentary form of government. Yeah, it is federal form of the government. Okay, rigid is very rigid constitution. It is first federation, dual polity in the sense there is a at center there is a government of there is a legislature, and at states they have own legislatures. Okay, parallel governments. Okay, confederation. First federation and I will explain what is confederation in detail. I have yesterday only. I should have explained you yesterday only. Confederation. Okay, mark this confederation. I will explain the meaning of confederation in the next class. Okay. Confederation. Federation in the sense division of force. Confederation in the sense revolution of force. Okay, fine. Well, presidential form of the government. Okay, indirect elections, electors. I have told you about this. Salvation of the world. Vice president, his superfluous highness is what we call vice president. Okay, India, it is a little bit different. Vice presidency, if the president resigns or something happens and the seat of the president gets vacant, then the vice president goes to president's seat and continues as president. But in case of India, if there is any vacancy in the president's seat, then the vice president goes to president till the next president is appointed. There is a difference between superfluous in the sense it flows like that. Vice president next becomes president. It is a little bit different in India. And vice president is the chairman of Rajya Sabha also. In case of French constitution is said to be very what do you call laboratory of political experiments. Okay, so till now, Fifth Republic, Charles wrote the Fifth Republic. Okay, till now 5 times the constitution has been changed, and this is the well developed kind of constitution in French. Okay, it is a written constitution, which is Fifth Republic is the written constitution, and cabinet committee put for referendum. Okay, so anything if you want to change in the constitution, then they will put for referendum. They will ask the people's opinion, and then they will do the changes. Okay, hybrid constitution, parliamentary and presidential form of the government, but power is tilted towards president. Tell me which form of the government is more stable, presidential form or parliamentary form? In parliament, the president is appointed by council of ministers indirectly. Okay, the majority party, they will suggest the name, and he is just nominal executing. The presidential form of the government, president enjoys his independence. Okay, this is the basic rule of democracy, separation of powers. Okay, strictly following our president's rule is more stable. So it was 9 years. The term of the president was 9 years. Then it was reduced for 7 years. Now it is 5 years in the French. Okay, only domestic issues, prime minister. So what are all the external issues? It is dealt by president. Only domestic issues, whatever need to be done internally inside the boundary of the country, then only or what we call prime minister decides. So cohabitation. In case of cohabitation, this is cohabitation. Okay, like president and PM are from different party, so president does not enjoy that much free hand in case of cohabitation. Okay, constitution council inter so some are there in the interpretation, in the sense, in order to interpret the constitution of the French, there is a separate council which is called constitutional council. Okay, India is also separating the powers of Supreme Court. They are forming a separate branch only to interpret the constitution itself. Okay, but it is not yet done. But here, which is evolved constitution French, there is a separate council. Okay, for interpretation, and it is unitary in the sense, unitary form of government. Okay, parliamentary, it is almost, we cannot say opposite to parliamentary, but it is different from parliamentary form of the government. Parliamentary is only one party, unitary. Okay, in case of Germany, we call landers. Okay, the parliament of Germany is called landers. It is parliamentary form of the government only in Germany also, but chancellor is there. Chancellor, in case of this French, our president is there. No, same similarly in Germany, chancellor is there, and the upper house and the lower house is called Bund, 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 STARA, it is Starat, and Bundestag. Okay, chancellor in Germany is very much powerful. It is stronger than prime minister. So chancellor makes policies, and constructive vote of no confidence is also a provision in the case of Germany. Okay, suspension of fundamental rights, we got it from Germany itself. I guess, let me check. Yeah, suspension of the fundamental rights during emergency. Weimar Constitution of Germany, we got it. At the time Germany was united, from there we got that suspension of fundamental rights. So Switzerland is also, it is a direct democracy, referendum initiatives, recall is also there in the case of Switzerland. Okay, there is an option through which they recall. Okay, federal council, it consists of 7 members, 1 president, term by term. So there is a council called federal council which consists of 7 members, and term by term, one of the presidents will come. Okay, in Canada it is cooperative federalism. Australia is also similar to cooperative federalism. China is very much important. China will progress under the leadership of Communist Party. So this thing is written in the Chinese constitution itself. So communist form of government is Chinese government. Okay, president will be the head of all powers, single house. NPC, National People's Congress, is the only party. Fundamental rights not enforceable, while fundamental duties are enforceable in case of Chinese parliament. Okay, there are more than 5,000 representatives, and they meet once every year for making laws in the Chinese kind of thing. So this is all about the comparison and everything. Yeah, guys, this lecture was not that effective because yesterday I prepared all these notes, and today I am saying whatever I have remembered. I just told you on screen then and there. But from the next class, that is Union Executive and State Executive, I am going to explain you in brief. Thanks for being with me. Take care. Bye.